Hello friends, this is part 4 of the training program video Managing Data with Excel. In the earlier video we saw how we can use conditional formatting for reviewing the data. In this video our task is to summarize the information available in this table using a pivot table function of Microsoft Excel. The pivot table is like applying a multiple filters. For example, if I say how many calls were made to a relative who also belongs to a service provider which is Reliance Jio. So how we are going to answer this question? I'll say go to the filter category. In the category I am going to say relative. Then I'll go to the column service provider and apply a filter for Reliance Jio. And I can count these numbers or I can refer the status bar here. So there are around 143 records which belongs to a category relative and service provider Reliance Jio. But as we know, there are multiple categories, so around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 categories, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 service providers. So total 36 combinations are possible. If I want to know all these combinations, basically how these 275 records are distributed among these 36 combinations. For that I have to use the filter 36 times. The simpler way is to use the pivot table. So for that, ensure that your cursor is anywhere in the data table. Go to the insert menu. In the insert on the left hand side, you'll see option called pivot table. Click on that. It's a two-step process. So first step, just review this dialog box. It says this data is in this original information worksheet in the cell number A1 to 27776. Just keep everything here as it is. Click OK. So what Excel has done, it has created a new worksheet here, sheet 1. It has given you a canvas here where the pivot table is going to get built up, and on this side there are various options. These options are the list of the column headings here, and the table is going to be in a 4 section. The value section where we want the counts or any other information, the columns, the rows, and the filters. So let's build our first pivot table with only a category into the rows. So if I drag and drop the category from here into this area, you can see here the unique values of the category column have been listed here. Now if I do this once again, but this time I'm going to drag and drop category into the value section. It has given you some numbers here. These numbers are actually, it says in the column category, how many records belongs to a colleague, that's 10 record, how many records where the company is as category, it's 6, and so on and so forth, and total is obviously 275 records. Now this is called a one-dimensional table where only one dimension has been used. The pivot table will give you values either in the form of a count, or if you want to change, you can click anywhere in this value section of the table, then press right click mouse button of your mouse, go to the value field setting. In the value field setting, there's a tab called show value as. Select that tab. In the show value as field, select percentage of grand total and click OK. So what it will do, it will convert the information into a percentage. So if now somebody asks you what percentage of the calls were made to a person who is your family member, so we can say it's a 8%. In earlier case, I could have also found out that, but I need to do some calculation in my calculator or in my mind. But the Excel can help you to get those calculations very fast. Now, let me reverse this. Okay, so I just press Ctrl Z, so it's basically undo of the last steps. Now I want to convert this table into a two-dimensional table. So what I will do, I will select service provider from the list here and drag and drop into the column section of the pivot table. So now you can see this 275 count have been broken up into all those combinations and the information available here. Now, like showed earlier, I can have this information in the form of a count, that's number, or value field setting, show the values as a percentage of the grand total, that's as a percentage of the 275, or as a percentage of the each column total, or as a percentage of each row total. So you can select the options as per your need. Right now I'm just keeping it as a percentage of the grand total and it's giving me the values. Now this 275 records are the full data of the table. If I want to convert this table into a three-dimensional table, that means I want to add one more parameter for summarizing my information. But this parameter, not the way we use category and service provider, but we want to use this parameter more as a filter. For that, ensure that your cursor is somewhere in the pivot table here, anywhere. Go to the pivot table tools. In the pivot table tools, on this side you get options. From the options, select the options. Oh, sorry. Here, go to the insert slider, and the system will give you options for which you can build a slicer. So I'm going to use a business potential. So select that and click OK. So it has created a kind of a selection button for you. So it's like if I select no, it will change the data, this summary, this pivot table percentage only for the record where the business potential is no. If I select yes, it's going to display only all those combinations and its corresponding informations where the business potential is yes. So this way you can use the slicer to filter the record, or you can use this business potential here and drag and drop into the filter here in the pivot table itself. If I do this, you can see here in the cell A1 and B1, business potential has come and I can now use the filter from here. If I select all, the full table. If I select only the no, it has filtered the data for business potential no. If I select yes, business potential yes. So the output is same like slicer. However, here we can add multiple. There also we can use multiple slicers. Now let's change this table a little bit more. So I want to remove first. Let me remove the filter and change the value field setting to the count only. So let me show only the count. No calculation. Only count is there now. 275 records. Now till then we were using the category which is having a characters, but instead of category, if I drag and drop the duration column here, remember the duration column contains the call log length in terms of seconds. So right now it's showing is a sum of the duration. I can go to the value field setting, and right now it's showing sum. I can change it to count, average, max, minimum, lot of other options are available. For our case, let's select average. Click on OK. Now we have the averages of this information. Now let me convert this pivot table. I will remove the service provider and let me bring it business potential here. Now, so you can see how fast we can change the summary data by using the pivot table. Let's understand what information this contains. So if I say 162.34, from where this value would have come? Any guess? Is it the average of this 8 numbers or 9 numbers? Is it the average of all call logs? What is that information? So when you say this, remember it's the average of the duration. So it says this 162 is for whole of this column. And this column belongs to business potential no. That means all the calls where business potential was no, those calls durations average value is 162.34. Similarly, if I read this, all the calls where the category was colleague, that average is 119.8. Now, if you want to take out only those records which are colleagues, you can double click here and you can see the Excel has created one more table, one more worksheet with only the records where all colleagues are there with business potential yes and no. I'll go back to my pivot table. If I click, let's say this 203.8, that's a friend and business potential no. If I double click here, it's going to give me one more worksheet where business potential category is friend and business potential is no. And the average of this 5 record that is in the status bar is 203.8, which is given here as a 203.8. I hope with this you will be able to use the pivot table in a more beneficial, in a more powerful way. It's one of the mostly used tool, and the purpose is not to create a pivot table and keep it as a static information. We keep it dynamic. As somebody asks you a question, you just simply go ahead and create a pivot table. For example, if somebody asks you what could be the average of a friend from Reliance Jio having business potential, yes. So friend is a category, yes. Business potential is there. The Reliance subscriber is the service provider. So I can drag and drop service provider here. And I say, okay, friend, Reliance Jio, business potential, no. The average call duration is 153 seconds. So you can see within a minute, also within a 30-second, we can get that information. That's all for the pivot table. In the next video, we will see a similar table can be prepared by using a function called conditional formatting. Before that, okay, oh yeah, that's all. Thank you very much, friends.